Meeting the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Kish? And Urick is absent.
Yeah, and Chris, as you know, David's let us know he's out ill.
Yes. I have, the first thing I have is the meeting minutes from the June 28th special trustee meeting. The meeting was called to order at 6:07 p.m. by Chairman Lynch. Roll call, Lynch, Abraham, and Urick were present. I need to change that because Kish was also present. Also attending, Case Marshall, Ashley, and G. Lynch. Pledge to the flag and reading of prior meeting minutes were deferred to the regular meeting. The meeting was called to review preliminary numbers proposed by the fiscal officer for the 2023 budget. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 6/12/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, moved to adjourn at 6:45 p.m. All ayes.
I make a motion to approve the special trustee meeting minutes of June 28th as corrected.
I second it.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, then we have the meeting minutes from the June 28th, 2022 regular meeting. And it was called to order at 7 p.m. by Lynch. Pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Urick, and Kish were all present. Also in attendance, Case Marsh, G. Lynch, C. Nyhart, J. Wilhelm, R. Cerrone, S. D. Ambrosio, J. Evanson, J. Majan, and D. Moore. 6/13/22, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Urick, moved to approve the June 14th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as corrected. All ayes. 6/14/22, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Urick, moved to approve the June 18th, 2022 special meeting minutes as corrected. All ayes. 6/15/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, moved to approve that the May 2022 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented subject to investigation. All ayes. 6/16/22, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham. They moved to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations. All ayes. Fiscal Officer Kish noted that preliminary forms have been sent and filed for the virtual monitoring/audit of the coronavirus funds for 2020 and 2021. Also received correspondence from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control for Dragon Ranch Golf Club regarding a request for a hearing for liquor permit. Trustee Lynch noted that we would be hearing from John Evanson regarding Phase 1 sandstone development. John Evanson spoke that he wanted to answer any questions that there might be regarding Phase 1. 6/17/2022, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, review and approval of Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC Sandstone Development Phase 1 and findings of the Zoning Commission pursuant to Amherst Township Zoning Resolution Article 1200, Planned Development District. Roll call, Lynch and Abraham were ayes, Urick was a no. Trustee Lynch noted that we would like to bring up the next resolution since it has to do with zoning as well. 6/18/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, moved to accept Zoning Commission appointment of Mr. Remy Cerrone to complete a currently open term, such term expiring on December 31st, 2023. All ayes. There were no audience concerns. Under reports, under ambulance, Trustee Abraham noted that they met on June 16th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. It was a very productive meeting. Under zoning, 23 permits for the month, 11 new homes this month. Total of 14 year to date. On July 5th, 2022, the Zoning Commission will hold an informal meeting at 6:30 p.m. with Redwood. The Fire Prevention Officer, Chris Nyhart, reported July 1st, 2022, the new fireworks law goes into effect. The City of Amherst adopted a resolution for no fireworks in the city. Under Road, Park, and Cemetery, Road Superintendent Smarsh reported that they are currently working on trimming and mowing the parks and cemeteries. They also did a round of roadside mowing. Currently cleaning ditches and cleaning out culverts. Regular maintenance is happening. The county did mow the Batten House ditch. Under LARCO, a bid opening was held for the sanitary sewer extension from Cinnamon Lake to West Salem. No bids were received. Phase 2, Trustee Lynch noted that packets contain information from the Stormwater District regarding the delay in getting the MOUs for the community grants out to the townships. The delay is a result of the Stormwater District Board investigating the leverage of additional funds from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, sometimes referred to as the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. With the delay, it may also delay our 2022 Batten House Ditch Restoration Project into next year. Trustee Uhrig noted that packets contained copies of the Lorraine County Solid Waste Management District 2022 Community Grant application that was submitted. Complaints are being handled by the designated individuals. Under new business, Trustee Lynch noted packets contain copies of the magistrate's decision regarding the property maintenance issue known as the Dunphy property. Mr. Dunphy has been held in contempt of court. If he can comply with the original terms of the settlement agreement within 30 days from the date of the order, he may purge his contempt. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be held Tuesday, July 12th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 6/19/22, a motion to adjourn was made by Uhrig, seconded by Abraham at 7:58 p.m. All ayes.
Okay, if there's no changes required to the June 28th regular meeting minutes, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
All righty, then you've got the payment listing in front of you. And this half of this month was pretty standard regular bills being paid, nothing out of the ordinary. Unless you have any questions about anything on the payment listing.
I just got the answer. I want to know Lorraine County Engineer, but I see that was a striping
Yep.
that Kevin had mentioned at the last meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
And then our revenue to date is $797,012.32. And our year-to-date expenditures are $663,064.94. And I just looked at our bank statement, and we have a pending deposit of $302,519.35. That is waiting to click to the account. So it was before 7:15.
Oh, so it's already waiting there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
What Chris was referring to as the ARPA fund.
deposited
Second
today.
tranche.
It'll probably clear tomorrow.
So we'll get a day early.
Yeah,
Maybe
two.
Just bear with me, Chris.
No problem.
Okay, and I did want to note that you do have the purchase order in here, 76-2022, for reimbursement of township salaries for the first quarter from the ARPA account 2273-110-500-0000.
Is that for the second quarter?
It says first quarter.
Is it 103?
It's, hang on, let me make sure I did that. I said it's not first quarter, it's for one quarter. So it's 103.
Yeah, that's the second quarter.
Second quarter.
I'm just waiting for the money to be deposited.
Okay, and just before I make this motion, I just, that everyone's aware is there was another revision from the Treasury regarding ARPA funds, and Chris was reviewing the latest issue of the Ohio Township News that had some of that information in there. And one of the questions that was brought up is, hey, do people have to pass a motion or resolution for every ARPA expenditure? And the answer came back yes. And there was a question, well, geez, do we have to do that with every single one? Now, we have with the larger ones prior to, and let me back up. The question was if you adopt a standard resolution. The answer was yes. Now, we're aware by adopting the standard resolution, since we are well under the 10 million in receipts, is that we don't have to go through all the additional administrative work and cost of keeping track of every expenditure. We did identify the major categories we were going to use those funds for, which essentially we said we will use them for anything except for our fire and EMS fund, since we've got healthy reserves in there. Our problem's always general fund and roads and bridge. So we will use it for all the salaries, roads, bridges, parks, cemetery. We always go low. We always go low for solid waste, for the yard waste. But to cover that is we actually do, as I just mentioned, this purchase order where Chris is transferring the funds from the ARPA account to pay for it, as the trustees end up signing that. And when we typically would say approving the payment of the bills in the financial reports with reservation, it's encompassing all of that. But just so that Chris has a record of this for the eventual future audits, we've just changed the language a bit. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing, which include ARPA fund expenditures as specified in the documents provided by the fiscal officer.
I will second that motion.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And the number on that, Chris?
7-3.
7.
3.
Chris will keep all of that buttoned up along with the spreadsheets, Linda, that you guys have put together before for, you know, when the audit happens and no one can remember what happened 2 years ago.
Sure.
All right, anything else there, Chris? I'll let you catch up. I know we're going to get to the budget.
That's okay. No, I really do. I can talk in correspondence.
Okay.
Just 2 things.
All right, well, the next order of business is the trustees did have that special meeting on June 28th also to cover the review of the 2023 budget. Chris had put together some preliminary numbers, and based on the comments that came up from the various departments, is there were just some minor adjustments for what are additions or maybe out of the ordinary or some larger expenses, so that from the original estimate Chris put together, we added the $3,500 for the general fund for new computers and an annual maintenance review of the computer operation software protection, and more that we're up to date with antivirus, malware, ransomware type protection. Linda does have all the computers except Chris's, which uses UAN, is backed up in the cloud, and Chris, you've got to back up your own. Is UAN backing them up at all, or is all that?
No, I do.
So you get everything, including your files, but
Right.
even the financials, they don't back that up?
Well, I do have backup.
Do you
for
have
my-
carbonite?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
you've
she's
got,
backed up by
okay.
carbonite.
But
Then-
I don't believe the UAN backs up on that. The UAN backs up.
That's why I never understood why the state, even when they had that open checkbook and we had to pass a resolution, say, fine, it's like, well, you have access to everything, just put it out there. There's
Yeah.
nothing hidden. But, okay. We also had the $70,000 additional for the road and bridge for our apportionment for the Middle Ridge Road project, which the city of Amherst will be the lead on that. But keep in mind, when we did last year, we were watching the budget, and Mayor Koslow told us that'd be 2023, and we said that works for us. The $100,000 additional for the full-depth concrete replacement in the subdivisions. Previously, Kevin had an estimate for the same amount that previously was around $60,000 is up to $100,000, so we had to increase that. The $15,000 additional in the general fund for a new Skag mower. And then we put an additional $20,000 in, expecting that Overland Road from Middle Ridge Road heading north to North Ridge is going to require repavement. We currently have an estimate of around $200,000 for that project. I understand, Kevin, you've already requested the county engineer to give a more detailed estimate, but we're estimating on that one, $20,000. Our funds we're hoping will be enough, but we'll talk later where there's going to be, we hope, some additional matching funds to use on that so that our project, the grant, gets approved and leveraging OPWC funds. So as far as I can recall, those are the major changes we did on the budget. Chris did update the form that she has to turn in to the Tax Budget Commission and the County Auditor, which you have a copy of it. So if there's no additional questions, I'm going to make the motion that to provide for the estimated revenues, current expenses, and other expenditures of the Board of Trustees during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. The following sums are and the same are hereby set aside and appropriated for the several purposes for which expenditures are to be made for and during the fiscal year, provided in the format prescribed by the Budget Commission of Lorain County, Ohio, as follows. And I'm not going to read through all the detail, but you have that listed in a spreadsheet there. Section 2, the fiscal officer shall file the following with the Lorain County Auditor by the date requested by the Budget Commission. 2 copies of the attached budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the tax year 2023, a copy of this adopting resolution, and any other information required by the Budget Commission. And the rest is all boilerplate. That'll be my motion.
I will second that motion.
Lynch?
Yes?
Abraham?
Yes.
That is 7-4.
Okay, the next item is just as Chris has pointed out, we are going to receive our second tranche of the ARPA funds, which should be coming with 1-2 days. It'll hit the bank account. That amount will actually be $302,519. So total from federal funds, the township will have received $605,039. And that's pretty much going to be it. I can't see any more big federal expenditures or bailouts coming along, but we've already got all of those funds allocated. We'll definitely meet the requirements that the ARPA bill specifies and have all those funds used up. I don't see any visitors here, so we'll skip the welcome. Correspondence, Chris?
I just had 2 things that I wanted to bring forward. We did receive the $500 for the more grant from Otarma for the 2022 year for hall and office lighting was what I had applied for, so that went through. And then we did receive from, you all may have gotten it separate too, from First Energy regarding the Beaver Wellington transmission line project, the start of construction notice. So I figured you all had gotten that separate, so, but we had received that.
All right, Denny?
No, sir.
Okay, then the only other item, and you have a copy here, is a public notice from Lorain County Engineer's Office that they're collecting survey data to complete their environmental studies, to complete the construction documents associated with replacement of Overland Road Bridge number 0644. That bridge is located approximately a half mile north of State Route 113 on Overland Road, and construction is expected to begin in the spring of 2023. So there are going to be detours. They will actually, Overland Road will be shut down in 2023. I know they replaced that bridge once before in the last 20 years. I don't recall how long it took at that time, but they do show the estimated cost at $500,000. 100% being funded by a grant from the Federal Highway Administration. And Bob Clivers asked that we include that notice in our newsletter at the appropriate one when we're getting closer to that time frame. And I called Kevin today because they actually had people out surveying that bridge today to get their information together. So that's all I have on correspondence. We already talked about the Office Budget Management, ARPA second tranche. Okay, I don't know, let's see. Denny, we're going to skip ambulance since you're meeting annually. We'll go to zoning. Sam?
Yep. We have 1 light industrial permit, new construction, 4 additional residential permits, 1 being a new house over in Hampshire, So that brings us up to 15 year-to-date new homes. I guess that's it.
16?
15, 1-5.
15.
Sorry, was it what, the first one was one?
Light
One
industrial.
permit this month?
The light industrial. That was the one.
Thank
And then
you.
all the rest were residential.
So I have one permit this month and one new home for a total of 15 year-to-date.
You got it.
The zoning commission's going to meet August.
And then I also have a note here, the zoning commission is going to meet August 2nd, 6:30 on Sandstone.
All right. Any questions for Sam?
No.
15. All right, thank you very much, and I'll be at that zoning commission meeting. And Linda, thanks for organizing the report. And Sam, you're going to keep this spreadsheet report up then from this point? Is that the way you guys are working
I've
it?
not even talked to Sam about it yet.
Okay, all right.
But it is awesome.
We'll get him, once he's, I don't want to hit him with too many things and have him run.
Yeah, well, he's probably on information overload already, so.
Just keep plugging, you'll be all right. Yeah. Remy's about sick of me by now, so.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, well, you're getting through some. There'll be, I mean, you haven't seen any conditional use permits. I mean, there's no way in the time you have, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to break something new that you haven't had an opportunity to see in this short time. But
Sure.
Remy said he'll always be available
Yeah, that's
to
comforting.
discuss it. And you'll get to know some of the other zoning inspectors in the area too, and the prosecutor with that relationship will be helpful. And Kristen Brandon, when you eventually start, getting introduced to all these people.
Okay.
Okay, Sam, good deal. Right, fire prevention's not here. Roads, parks, and cemeteries, Superintendent Smarsh.
With the parks and cemeteries, we're actually getting a break with as dry as it's been. So the mowing and trimming have come down to pretty much not too much. We'll be able to skip a week here. But there are a couple of thicker trees, larger branches in the walking path that we'll be getting here, hopefully by the end of the week.
Those are the dead ones, are they?
There's
So some that are completely, they're dead.
yeah, there's actually 2 of them that are dead that need to be taken care of.
Good.
For the roads, we had the street sweeper come through. They hit that up, so that was a good spot because the dry grass was starting to build up in sections that it usually doesn't. The potholes are down to a minimum right now. And now we are full-fledged into tearing catch basins out. I have 4 of them that have been oopsed and are ready for tear out, and every one of them will be able to use a precast to replace them back, which would be a lot nicer than
Yes.
having you build back. Everything's running pretty smooth. Keeping ourselves cool in the heat that's gotten a little crazy, but we definitely watch ourselves. Everything seems to be running pretty good.
Great. Did you by any chance ever have any contact with Ron Yacobosi about where the street sweeping? Okay,
Yep, that was all taken care of.
good. All right, are there any questions for Kevin?
No.
All right, well, I do have, here I know I promised this, Kevin, when we get it, but the OPWC through WorkWise did get the project agreement available for the South Dewey Road project. They did have some hiccups with their software, but they did forward to us that everything's been approved. And I'm trying to recall, I didn't put it down here. The new individual we work with Fortunately, I didn't copy his. Remember his name, Linda? Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, we've got the information. But in any case, at this point, we can now officially award the bid to Precision Paving. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion that upon full execution, return of the Ohio Public Works Commission project agreement for the South Dewey Road TR 105 resurfacing project, and that's from Park Avenue to North Ridge Road on South Dewey, that the project shall be awarded to Precision Paving of Milan, Ohio. Kevin Smarsh, Amherst Township Road Superintendent, is assigned project management responsibility for the project. As project manager, Road Superintendent Smarsh shall be responsible for communicating project updates to all elected officials and the public, and shall coordinate schedules and interactions between the various professional services and various contractors that may be awarded project work based upon the bid, shall ensure that project documentation is maintained, and shall be authorized to approve any change orders of $5,000 or less, provided the total of all change orders does not exceed the total estimated project cost by more than 10%. And I actually probably should have said the bid award of $113,555.50. Amherst Township Chairperson Neil Lynch or Dennis Abraham, the trustee assigned responsibility for roads, and or Township Road Superintendent Kevin Smarsh, are authorized to sign any agreements required for the South Dewey Road TR 105 resurfacing project from the Ohio Public Works Commission for road reconstruction, resurfacing, and improvements in order to prevent further road damage caused by poor surface drainage. Section 3, Road Superintendent Smarsh is hereby authorized and directed to execute and provide all information and documentation required by the Ohio Public Works Commission, funding assistance grants and loan program and agreements. Section 4, the Amherst Township Fiscal Officer is directed to pay for the road reconstruction, resurfacing, and improvement with the available state grant funds, interest-free loan fund, and per ORC Section 5573.07B2, which includes any fund in the Township Treasury available therefor. The rest is all boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
I will second that motion.
Okay, and I just have one other comment, Kevin. Even though we give that leeway when something unexpected comes up, keep in mind this project is also with a cooperative agreement with the city of Amherst. So, you know, we have to just be cognizant of that. Hopefully nothing comes up and Precision Paving meets the actual bid. But once this is approved, because I don't think I sent this over to Amherst now since we received the final bid here. I did send it once we received a group of bids, but now that we're finalizing this. But you'll see attached to this has the documentation for the split. So it'll be just over 74% for the township and just under 26% for the city of Amherst. So Amherst, township will have $23,006.41 will pay outright upon completion, and then we'll have the loan that we have to repay, and that's a 12-year loan, so we'll pay 1/12 of the $9,192.55. So we're totally on the hook for about $32,200, and the city of Amherst will be the $8,019 and change that they pay out, and they'll take portion of the loan at $3,204. The good news is that this full project is covered in leveraging those additional funds. So just so that we stay cognizant of that, as far as hopefully we keep everything within what the actual bid amount is. Okay. All right, Chris, I'm ready.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
The number?
7522.
What was 7422?
That was the the estimated revenue and expenditures of the annual tax budget.
Ready, Denny?
No. Can you point out which one she's talking about? This one. 7.3, I have 7.5. And that's it.
David at the moment. I'll tell you what, Sam, can you hand me one of those extra packets there? Maybe I missed one. Nobody's using that. Thank you. That'll be 7-4 right there. What's this? Recall, did I mention that I'm meeting on Thursday with Commissioner Matt Lundy to go over the 2 grants? Okay. And only because that impacts you, Kevin, as far as the Oberlin Road estimate. Okay, good. All right, we'll move on then to Township Administrator Linda Ashley.
The only thing that I've really been working on is trying to catch up on the permit logs and any other
Only?
only any other work that has sat there, which was for my helper that didn't show up. Transient vendors, we have none. We did have an issue, and I think you probably have seen the email that I sent out to Deputy Bargenheiser regarding transient vendors in the Hidden Valley area. There was a gentleman going door to door. He was flagging down cars. He was repeatedly hitting the same homes. Got a couple phone calls of people that were a little bit upset about it because he seemed to be pestering them and being very persistent. One gentleman did call the sheriff's department, non-emergency number, and he was told that the solicitors have a right to go door to door and there's nothing they can do about it. So of course he called me on a Monday. So I did send an email out to Deputy Bargenheiser explaining that we do have the transient vendor resolution. I sent him a copy of the resolution and asked him to politely inform those, the dispatchers on the non-emergency lines, please send the sheriff out to escort these gentlemen out or ask them to leave. And as I said, there are currently we have no vendors that are registered. So that's the only issue that we've really had in the last probably year or so. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet. You know, pavilion reservations and trying to organize baseball fields and coordinate that because we don't have a schedule from the baseball group. They don't do it electronically. He jots it down by hand and
Wow.
yeah. He said
How
he's
the
old
kids know
school,
when to
so
play.
so I just keep sending him emails and asking, but you know, it's been okay, I think, as far as the pavilion reservations. We have a lot. And we keep getting more, and we've discussed that before.
Right.
And I am working on that also, trying
Okay.
to find out what the various communities are charging, if residents versus non-residents, and coordinating with Kevin to get the times, how long it takes them to go down and get garbage and pack hours and all that. But that's kind of taking a backseat to what he's working on every day. The more important things, maybe a rainy day, I'll get him.
I understand.
That's all.
All right, are there any questions for Linda?
No, I haven't.
I mean, when I hear just only, I know she'll spend a lot of time on these fees and the...
But it doesn't
permit,
seem like
so.
much.
All right, thanks, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next item is complaints. Georgianne, can you bring up the first photo of the dust over there at the sandstone? Okay. We did receive 2 complaints from adjoining residents regarding the dust being created at the development of sandstone. This is one I took the complaints. Fortunately, Linda gave them to us electronically also, but I had sent that over to Tom Oster and John Evanson, who are the developers for Sandstone, to see what they could do for the residents concerned. John did go down and review the site. Here he's showing what's happening as they're dragging the logs out. They're currently clearing the land for what they call the north part of their section. You can see the dust clouds that it creates, and it actually can get worse than that at times when they're dragging out the ones with the tree limbs still on them. That's when it really blows up. But it's not continuous. It's just when they're dragging it. Can you bring up the other print? Okay, this is the print of the development. What I can tell you, where you see the green, those trees are definitely all remaining. Where you see the housing going in, that is treed, and it's predominantly brown trees. That's what most will be logging. And can you point out where the main spline road is, Georgianne? Your pointer? Yeah, I can't see the pointer yet.
Yeah, it's going.
Okay, there you go. Originally, the developer intended on having the chipping and logging site north of Jeff Belarsh's home. Can you show Jeff Belarsh's home? Right there. And so it would have been just north of that. At the review for the final development approval, Jeff had asked if they could move their equipment further back to the west, because he's right on that curve there of Oberlin Road. He has young teenage drivers, and he was concerned that teenage drivers will do what teenage drivers do and cause a problem. So they relocated the plan for the logging area south of his property. Well, now what's happening, depending upon which direction the wind blows, can you point out where Mike Britta's home is? And okay, and also the Stacknick's home, which is just to the north of that. So what'll happen when the wind's coming to the out of the northwest, it's blowing that dust towards their area. So it, you know, the one resolution that one of the complaints asked for, hey, can they move the work zone further to the west? And the difficulty they have there is there's a large drainage swale that they currently have timbers over, and the large tract equipment and, you know, regular construction equipment can go over that and work in the back area, whether it's dry as it is now. Realize when they started, this was like a mud pit, but it's now all dry. But the semis that pull the logs and the chips out, they can't go over that. So that's why they're dragging everything up and doing that work zone up front. But what John's indicated is that they should be done within a week of clearing the northern section. Now, let's see, we received this today. This was at 10:28. I haven't called them back to say, when you're saying the northern section, are you referring to everything north of Jay Bardar's property? And can you point to Jay's property, circle around it? Jay's got that large property right in the middle of this development. So he says that it'll be another month to 2 months before they start working with the southern part of their development. But I don't know, when they say the southern part, if they're talking south of Jay's area, or if they still have some tree removal to do that's north of Jay's home. Because if it's north of Jay's home, that can still impact the Britta and Stacknick family there. So it's, John did open it up, hey, what, do you guys have any suggestions? Well, there's different things you can do. Obviously, you can do what you do when you do a demo, is you got to spray water to keep the dust down. But that costs more money, but it's something that can be done. So it's, at this point, if they're going to be done in a week, I don't see where we've got to do anything at the moment, since it's just going to be done in a week. But we'll still have contact with the, between the Brittas and the Stacknick. Now, I thought, Linda, you said one of them, I'm not sure who brought these in, that they said there was going to be a third complaint from someone.
Yes, and they were sending it via our website, so it would go to Chris, but I don't think you've
You
gotten
haven't seen
anything.
it yet? Okay, well, I did, and just for Sam, I've assigned this to you since it's a zoning thing, so it'll show officially under the complaints here that it's you, but I've already left a message with Mike Britta that we'd be discussing this at tonight's meeting. Give us a couple of days usually before this shows up on the website and YouTube, but he could at least look at this to get what's been discussed here at this meeting. He might have some other ideas, but, you know, I don't know what we can do here overall to stop it.
It was Mrs. Statnick that brought it in, and I did let her know that it would be discussed tonight, and that I invited them to come up, or I told them they could watch it on YouTube.
Oh, so you've already talked, okay, good.
When she dropped it off, that's what I
Okay.
had told her.
Well, I'll be giving John a call, but I wanted to stay email so everyone sees what's going on here, because it's, this isn't like it's just in one person. This is impacting an overall area, but I'm sure there's going to be other items that come up. It'll be interesting if the third one is the same as what these are. But again, they had relocated the operation because of thinking they were solving one problem and may have created another one, and that happening. What I have seen, though, and as he's pointed out, because I go by the site all the time, is any dust that's created right now is blowing to the northeast. It's not coming down onto these two, but that doesn't mean there's not homes over there, because there are. Just be blowing to a different direction. I don't know if you have any comment on that.
No.
Okay, and I don't know if under the old business, do you have anything to bring up, Denny? Okay, then we'll move on to new business. And going through and trying to put together a summary of all zoning permits and for the year, and also trying to show what that means in terms of the dollar amounts and types of permits that are coming up, so we can start developing an easy database to monitor the trends and where things are occurring. It did seem like occasionally there were some inconsistencies in the residential areas to whether you're charging for new construction or accessory building. And at first we were looking at, well, let's try and give, and more for Sam coming in, something that is a clear, concise definition. We thought, boy, the more you go through that, the more squishy it becomes. So the decision was this will be a lot easier if we get rid of the two separate, different fees, whether it's new construction, in additions versus an accessory building, and reviewing some of the other townships' fee schedules here in Lorain County. That's exactly what they do. They don't identify them as separate. And so all this is since the trustees have to approve that policy before it takes effect, is you'll see the back sheet that's dated effective date of January 1st, 2022. It shows what the current fee structure is, then Georgianne's updated to the fees effective as of July 13th, basically just showing it as all one line. That way too, not only does it make it easier for Sam, any resident that goes to the website, it'll be easier for them to determine, well, geez, which fee am I paying when I come in? So they have a better idea. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that the Amherst Township Policy Manual Fee Schedule Appendix C shall be amended such that the fee for construction of residential accessory buildings shall be the same as new construction additions as indicated in the attached schedule, revision date of July 12, 2022 document. The policy manual amendment of the fee schedule Appendix C shall be effective July 13th of 2022. Section 3, the assistant to the fiscal officer shall update the policy manual, ensure all township personnel have access to the most current Amherst Township policy manual, and attach fee schedule Appendix C document. Section 4, all township personnel shall review and familiarize themselves with the attached amendments to the Amherst Township policy manual. So that'll be my motion.
I will second that motion.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Number, Chris?
7-6.
Okay, the next one comes up only because the policy manual is being updated on the fee schedule. Is Georgiana's been working on various updates of the policy manual for two reasons. Some just because of a statutory requirement in terms of the ethics law, and the others based on information that we received at the 2022 Ohio Township Association conference. Within that policy manual, you guys received this earlier. A quick summary is that the personnel policy, even though many of these are items we've been doing just as general tribal knowledge, so to speak, and verbal communication, this will actually document this in writing, so it's very clear for people. So one is in the personnel policy, timekeeping is added, employee notification is added, unauthorized leave is added, family and medical leave requirements, that's added. Civil leave, realize civil leave will include the jury duty or if you're called to testify, that sort of thing. Military leave, then giving proper notice, then obviously the ethics law we mentioned. All employees will be required to sign acknowledgement of the Ohio ethics law, and that will be part of their personnel folder. Electronic records disaster recovery policy, that's been updated more because of how we do the backups here, and much of that has been pushed. In the past we were, because of antivirus and malware, now the big issue is ransomware to make sure we're protected there. And then there's minor updates there in the solid waste policy. So those are the main policy updates. So, and you'll be able to review all that in detail. There is an attachment here. This attachment in personnel just shows the changes. It doesn't have the full 26 pages of the personnel policy. So I'm going to make a motion that the Amherst Township Policy Manual shall be amended as indicated in the attached summary of changes, the Policy Manual Revision Update of July 12, 2022 document. The Policy Manual amendment shall be effective immediately. Section 3, the Assistant to the Fiscal Officer shall update the Policy Manual, ensure all Township personnel have access to the most current Amherst Township Policy Manual. The attached summary of changes to Policy Manual Revision Update of July 12, 2022 document. Section 4, all Township personnel shall review and familiarize themselves with the attached amendments to the Amherst Township Policy Manual. That'll be my motion.
I will second that motion.
Lynch?
Yes?
Abraham?
Yes.
7-7.
Okay, and the last item I have, and there's nothing that requires action here, I was more bringing this up just so that the board is aware of the discussions that have been going on. This has been, at least 4, possibly 5 weeks. There's been could be a little longer, but it was just some preliminary investigation as far as railroad quiet zones. And where this started was an individual, former township resident, Scott Delagi, used to live in Copper Creek. He's now purchased a property and built a home on Dewey Road, but his home's in the city. He has additional acreage in the township there, so it'll be on the northwest corner of Dewey and Ackerman, or Park. So that's where Scott lives. But as he was looking into this, since once he moved there, he's right by the railroad. So before, he was near the turnpike and he heard turnpike noise, but most of that is road noise. Occasionally the Jake brakes would go off, but you know, he didn't care for it, but no big deal. It was a nice area, and now he's in God's country and he hears the horns. So he's taken it on to lead this, and then in the time of doing that, ran into another resident in the city of Amherst who was very interested, and so now the two of them have partnered up. They've met with Amherst Mayor Koslow, and then they met with me because there are 2 crossings in the city. one of them at Cooper Foster, the other one at Cross Road. But with just those two, you can't meet the standards for a quiet zone because they're too close. You got to go a minimum of a half mile, and they put the Federal Railway Administration has a whole list of requirements here. So then they were looking at the next one, which they thought was the city of Amherst being Dewey Road, but that's really right at the intersection. So that, just to the north west is Amherst, but you come to the other side, it's Amherst Township, and technically the rail line itself is the township. But could be speaking out of turn because the mayor's indicated that he'd even consider helping this because he knows he needs to help his residents. But our thing is, if we're going to do this, we got to go probably the next one being West Ridge. And these gentlemen were here Sunday for a meeting we had at the township, and they got to hear a lot of trains coming from both directions. And they could see the ones that out at West Ridge were, you can hear them very loud coming in here at the township. Real blast is when they get to Oberlin Road. Technically, the way the standards are when they cross between Cooper Foster and Cross Road, I think they really only need to blow their horn once. They can blow it twice, but the engineer is only required to blow it once because those two crossings are so close. But looking at this, it appears that we can do this without the double gate things you've seen North Ridgeville use, which are very expensive. If we went to something like that, we wouldn't. But we are proceeding forward with an investigation. There's no commitment. I told them we can't be having further discussions without letting my colleagues know, because then it looks like you're doing something underhand, which certainly wasn't the case. But I didn't want to come here and present stuff without having familiarize myself with what the background is on quiet zones. And trust me, it's been a lot of reading, investigation. Now, fortunately, the help of these two gentlemen, one is one of the former principal owners of Gorilla Tape. The other one's, I'm not sure if he's retired yet. He's either retired or soon to retire NASA engineer. And the one, his background was really sales, marketing. So you're bringing together some diverse talents, and they work well together. But they also are very willing to get the right parties involved, knowing that we will need the city and the township, and with West Ridge, we definitely need the county. I don't know if we need the city of Elyria, but we do have to check that because the Federal Railway Administration's one is they must have a public body involved, and if there's multiple public entities, they all must be in agreement with it. And right now, the scoring mechanisms that are listed, if we put in the right, what we would probably use is those delineators. Because of the traffic volume we have, though, at West Ridge and Oberlin Road, for sure, you would have to have the mountable curb delineators, not just the one planted on the road, but the ones with the raised curb, kind of like the one that was put out on 58 for the Pure gas station. Those things aren't cheap. So it's not going to be something that's no money whatsoever, but it's something that eventually we've got to get those numbers down. These gentlemen are putting together a presentation to give at the city of Amherst, also here at the township. As soon as they would have it, if you guys want to move forward, that's the unfortunate thing with David not here, is that the soonest would be at our next meeting on the 26th of July. So if not that one, it'd be in the future. I told them you need to get some township residents that are also supportive, since it would involve expenditure of township funds. Well, that was Sunday. They've already gone out talking with people along Middle Ridge, the old Middle Ridge, for the Dewey Road crossing, because there's more people living there than in that section of Dewey, and obviously up here on Oberlin Road. And I think they were shocked how overwhelmingly positive the response is. Well, we know we just had new homes put here right next to the track. We've got one to be built next to the tracks further back. I'm sure our neighbors here, as you're aware, we've had a real good potential renter till she found out about the trains, and that was her whole reason for not renting, was because of the trains. And her, the credit and the rating for her as a renter was impeccable, but she got scared away by the trains. So, Benny, I told him I'd expect that you'd be supportive, but, we needed to discuss it as a board.
Well, I would be supportive. I need to hear more, but I would be supportive. So,
Well, I'm going to talk with them about getting something together and leave it up. We'll work out a meeting so that they can come here. To me, it doesn't matter whether they go to Amherst first or here first, because I believe they've only had discussions with the mayor up to this point. And I told them we've got to find out, working with the county as far as on West Ridge. The only one I've spoken with at the county was Bob Kleiber, and Bob said, holy smokes, he mentioned Val. I don't recall Val's last name. She was an engineer at North Ridgeville who implemented the quiet zone, and she just said it took them years and how difficult the whole bit. But their thing was they went with the double gates. They only have one road, Maddox Road, they did with the delineators, which is a lower traffic area, but that was much more expensive, required a considerable, much more bureaucracy. We're not talking about something like that. And we do have, there are going to be some hiccups to overcome, some small hurdles, but I think it can be done. So I'll go ahead and mention that to them, that at least, I have to let them know one trustee wasn't here, but I think David would be supportive too.
yeah, he would be.
Other than the cost, I would think most people are going to want a quiet zone. Again, and the whole thing is, the real key is will improve safety. I'm sure being right here by the tracks, you see the people running around those gates when they're down all the time. But what had happened when you put these mountable curbs down, not that they can't roll through them, because these things are spring-loaded deliberately, and mostly that's if you trap a safety vehicle in there and then they got to run over it. But now you're going to think about it before you start running over something that's dragging along the bottom of your car just to beat a train. So you're probably going to stay within that 100-foot lane, which is the specification that the Federal Railway Administration provides that we'd have to meet. So you won't be able to, and that way we can stick with the single gates, and you just can't drive around them. You either got to back up and turn around or wait for the train to go by. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I think 3's the most I've had to wait for. So,
Or you could wait for hours while they're parked across the...
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know when that, how soon they can put something together, and leave it up to them if they want to approach the city first, because technically even Scott, though half his properties, might even be more than half's in the township, his home, his residence is actually in the city. So they may want to approach the city first. And then we got to find out on West Ridge if that's strictly county or if that involves Elyria Township and the or Elyria, which one is right there at a junction. But that's all I had for business. Our next regular meeting will be on Tuesday, July 26th. Any need for a work session, Kevin?
No.
Okay. Any other business? Any need for an executive session? None, then I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn at 8:03 p.m.
Second?
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.